Welcome back to AF Tales. In today's story, we explore this moment. My girlfriend said, "My ex is back in town and wants to catch up." I said, "Sure." Then I canceled our anniversary trip and went solo instead. As you listen, notice the point where you think he should have walked away. My girlfriend said, "My ex is back." I replied, "Then I will go alone." Then I canceled our Maldives trip, flew solo to the island resort, posted the photos, and I watched as she ran to her ex, lost him, and realized too late what she threw away. I am Mark. I am 29, and this happened last week. I am still processing it, but I think telling the story helps. I had been with my girlfriend, Qley, who is 27, for almost 3 years. We had our ups and downs, but I honestly thought we were solid. To celebrate our anniversary, I planned a big trip to the Maldives. 7 days in an overwater bungalow. Flights, resort, activities. It cost 6 months of savings, but I wanted to do something special for us. About 2 weeks before the trip, Qley started acting different, not just tired from work. More like glued to her phone, taking calls in the bathroom, suddenly having evening plans that did not include me. When I asked about it, she would get defensive and flip it back on me. "You are being paranoid, Mark," she said. "I am allowed to have a life outside of our relationship." Fair enough, I thought. Everyone needs space, but her behavior kept getting stranger. This is the stage where a lot of people gaslight themselves. You see the signs, but you tell yourself you are overreacting. Last Tuesday night, I was finishing some work at home when she came in around 11. She was dressed up and smelled like expensive cologne that definitely was not mine. "Where have you been?" I asked. "Just drinks with Jessica," she said. The problem was that Jessica had been posting Instagram stories all night from home with her kids. That was when I stopped making excuses for Qley and started paying attention. The next morning, Wednesday, she was texting someone and smiling at her phone. When I walked over to kiss her good morning, she flipped the phone face down so fast she knocked over her coffee. "Who are you texting?" I asked. "Just my sister," she snapped. "God, Mark, do you need a play-by-play of every conversation I have?" I let it go, at least on the surface. Inside, my gut was telling me this was not about trust issues on my end. Something else was going on. Thursday morning, 2 days before our flight, she sat me down on the couch. "We need to talk before this trip," she said. My stomach dropped. Almost nothing good follows that sentence. "Brad is back in town," she said. Brad, her college ex who had moved to London 3 years ago. The one she used to compare me to until I finally asked her to stop. "He reached out a few days ago," she said. "He is going through a rough patch and needed someone to talk to. We met up last night." So that was where the unfamiliar cologne came from. "The night before our anniversary trip, you spent the evening with your ex-boyfriend and did not mention it," I said. "See, this is exactly why I did not tell you," she said. "You get all possessive and make it about you." That old knot came back in my stomach. The one that formed every time she turned my reasonable questions into proof that I was flawed. But this time, I stayed quiet and let her keep talking. "He is different now," she said. "Successful. He wants to take me to dinner tonight to continue our conversation because we did not get to finish talking." "Tonight," I repeated. "The night before we are supposed to fly to the Maldives together." "It is not a date, Mark. It is closure," she said. "If I am going to fully commit to you on this trip, I need to put the past behind me." She was framing dinner with her ex as an investment in our relationship. Emotional cheating dressed up as emotional growth. You see this a lot. Someone tries to rebrand disrespect as self-discovery. It sounds deep, but it still hurts the same. "You do not need to know all the details," she added, a little smirk forming on her lips. "It is called having boundaries. You should try it sometime." That smirk said more than her words. She really thought she was 3 moves ahead, like she was playing chess while I was playing checkers. The thing is, I was not the same guy I had been in past arguments. Watching her lie to my face for days had changed something in me. "You are right," I said calmly. "You do not owe me details about your private life." She looked surprised. She had been bracing for a fight. "I am going to respect your boundaries completely," I said. "Have dinner with Brad, take all the time you need." She grabbed her purse, clearly pleased with herself. "I will be home late. Do not wait up," she said. "We can talk about everything when I get back." As soon as the door closed behind her, I opened my laptop and pulled up our airline booking. Because it was more than 24 hours before departure, I was able to cancel her ticket for a full refund. Then, I called the resort and explained that my girlfriend would not be joining me. They were surprisingly kind. Since I would be traveling solo, they upgraded my overwater bungalow. I spent the evening packing only my things and looking up scuba excursions. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. Sometimes respecting someone's boundary just means stepping all the way back and letting them live with it. Qley came home at 2 in the morning. She tried to open the bedroom door, but I had locked it. She slept on the couch. The next morning, she acted like nothing had happened. "What time do we need to leave for the airport?" she asked over coffee. "We do not," I said. "I leave at 10. You are not going." "What are you talking about?" she asked. "I canceled your ticket," I said. "You wanted boundaries and privacy with Brad." "I am giving you all the boundaries you want." The color drained from her face. "Mark, stop playing games. We are supposed to leave in 3 hours," she said. "I am not playing games," I said. "I am going on vacation. You are staying here to figure out your feelings with Brad." "You cannot just cancel my ticket. I am your girlfriend," she said. "Girlfriends do not go on dates with their exes the night before anniversary trips," I said. "Whatever you are, it is not that." I grabbed my suitcase and headed for the door. "Mark, please, I can explain everything." "Brad means nothing to me," she said. "Then you will not mind me giving you all the space in the world to explore that," I said. My ride was already waiting. I walked out without looking back. The trip was incredible. I went scuba diving, took a seaplane tour over the islands, ate at an underwater restaurant, and slept better than I had in months. When you are not constantly tracking someone else's moods or walking on eggshells, a vacation actually feels like a vacation. I kept my phone in airplane mode all week, using Wi-Fi only to post a few photos. Part of it was wanting to disconnect. The other part was not wanting to deal with whatever storm was forming back home. On the flight home, reality started to catch up. During my layover, I turned my phone back on. 47 missed calls from Qley. 23 text messages, starting apologetic and turning more angry. Several voicemails I could not bring myself to play in the middle of an airport. There were also messages from her sister, Emma. "Mark, I am sorry about what happened. Qley told me everything." I tried to talk sense into her, but she is convinced she is doing the right thing. "She moved her stuff out yesterday. I thought you should know before you got home." "Moved out. In 1 week," I called Emma. "Where did she go?" I asked. "She is staying at Brad's place," Emma said. "He is renting some expensive apartment downtown while he looks for something permanent. She moved in with him." "Mark, I am so sorry. I told her she was making a huge mistake, but she said you humiliated her by leaving her at the airport." "Humiliated her?" "Not I hurt him or I made a mistake, just that I had embarrassed her. She said Brad was there for her when you abandoned her," Emma added. "He drove to the airport to pick her up and they have been inseparable since." The man she needed closure with had become her new partner in less than a week. At this point, what would you have done in my place? When I got home, the apartment felt different, not just because her things were gone, but because the air felt lighter. I had not realized how much tension I had been carrying until it was gone. On the kitchen counter, she had left her key and a note. "Mark, I hope you are happy. Brad helped me realize what I actually deserve in a relationship, someone who does not punish me for being honest about my feelings. I will come back for the rest of my things next week. Do not make this harder than it needs to be." Even in her goodbye note, she had written herself as the victim and me as the problem. That evening, I called my friend Jake and told him everything. "Dude, she was already checked out of your relationship," he said. The Maldives trip just forced her to make a choice she had already made. But she acted like I was crazy for being suspicious, I said. That is what people do when they are caught, he said. They make you feel crazy for noticing what is right in front of you. He was right. I had been trying to save something she had already ended in her mind. 3 days later, she came back for the rest of her things while I was at work. I had scheduled a meeting on purpose, so I would not be there. She left another note. I found the resort photos on your Instagram. It looks like you had a great time without me. Brad and I are planning our own trip to Europe next month. I hope we can both move forward positively. Even after moving in with another man, she still managed to make me feel like I had wronged her by going on the trip I planned and paid for. The truth is, I did have a great time without her. That told me everything I needed to know about the state of our relationship. Over the next month, I realized why I had not tried to fight for us. By the time she told me about Brad, the relationship was already over. She had made her choice before I even knew he was in the picture. The speed of her rebound made it very clear that the emotional affair had been going on longer than she admitted. 2 weeks ago, Emma texted me again. Just thought you should know Qley and Brad broke up, she wrote. She is pretty devastated. I will not lie. Part of me felt vindicated. Mostly I felt sad for her. Not because I wanted her back, but because she had blown up her life for someone who never planned to stay. According to Emma, Brad had been clear from the start that he was not looking for anything serious. He was in town temporarily for some cryptocurrency consulting project, planning to move to Austin in a few months. Qley convinced herself he would change his mind once he saw how good they were together. He did not. He told her he enjoyed spending time with her but was not ready for the relationship she wanted. Then he gave her 2 weeks to find a new place. The same amount of time it took for her to realize that chasing a romantic fantasy with an ex is not the same thing as building a life with someone. Yesterday, Qley finally reached out to me directly. Mark, I know I have no right to ask this, but could we talk? I realize I made some terrible decisions and I owe you an explanation, she texted. I stared at it for an hour before responding. I do not need an explanation, Qley, I wrote. I hope you are doing okay, but I do not think talking would be helpful for either of us. Please, she replied. I am not asking for another chance. I just want you to understand what happened. I miss our friendship. After 3 years together. I understand what happened perfectly, I wrote back. You chose someone else. We are both adults and we both have to live with our choices. It was not that simple, Mark. I was confused and Brad made me feel like, she started. I stopped reading and deleted the conversation. Some people will always rewrite history to make themselves feel better about what they did. Qley needed to believe she was confused rather than selfish, that she was exploring her feelings rather than cheating, that Brad was her soulmate rather than a convenient thrill. That is her right. It is also my right not to play a role in her new story. Since then, I have been seeing someone new. Her name is Qley. She is a marine biologist I met at a work conference. She is smart, funny, and most importantly, she does not play games with my emotions or make me question my reality. When we were planning our first weekend trip, she asked, "Are you sure about these dates? I can check with work and move some meetings if this does not work for you." The difference was clear. She was actually considering my schedule and trying to make things work for both of us, not deciding alone and expecting me to adjust. This is what partnership looks like. It does not feel like a test. It feels like being on the same team. Last week, I ran into Qley at a coffee shop near my office. She was with Emma. From their faces, it was obvious they had been talking about me. "Hi, Mark," Qley said quietly when I walked up to order. "Hi, Qley. Hi, Emma. How are you doing?" I asked. "Really well, actually." "You," Emma said. "I am good," I said. Qley glanced at Emma, then back at me. "I am getting by," she said, "learning a lot about myself." Her tone suggested she wanted me to ask more, to step back into her journey. I did not. "That is good," I said. Self-awareness is important. We stood there for an awkward moment until the barista called my name. "It was good to see you both," I said, picking up my coffee. As I walked toward the door, I heard Qley say quietly, "He seems different." She was right. I am different. I am not the guy who would spend months trying to fix something that only I wanted to keep. I am not interested in being anyone's safety net while they look for something better. I have learned I can trust my instincts. I do not have to accept being treated badly in the name of love. Sometimes the best thing you can do is walk away with your dignity intact. A few months later, things with Qley became more serious. We talked about moving in together. She brought out her budget and asked to see mine so we could split expenses fairly. When she got a text from an ex-colleague asking to grab drinks, she showed me the message and asked if I wanted to join them. When we had our first real disagreement about where to spend Christmas, we talked it through until we found a solution that worked for both of us. Basic relationship skills. Ones I did not realize were missing before. During a weekend trip to Napa Valley, we were walking through a vineyard talking about our future, and I realized I did not want to spend another day not being engaged to this woman. I had been carrying a ring for 2 weeks waiting for the right moment. I asked her to marry me. She said yes before I even finished the question. 3 weeks ago, Qley reached out one last time. "Mark, I heard about your engagement. I am happy for you. I really am. I want you to know I have been in therapy, and I understand now how badly I handled everything. You deserved so much better than how I treated you." For the first time, she took full responsibility without excuses or requests. "I am glad you are working on yourself, Qley," I replied. "I genuinely hope you find happiness." And I meant it, not because I am some perfect person who never feels anger, but because her choices no longer affect my life. I have moved on. Emma sent one more message later. "Seeing you engaged made her realize she really did lose the best thing that ever happened to her," she wrote. "Maybe that is true. Maybe it is not. It does not matter now. What matters is what I learned. I do not have to be anyone's backup plan. I do not have to convince anyone to choose me. I do not have to trade my self-respect to keep a relationship. Here are some lessons I took from all of this. Lesson 1. When someone shows you that their loyalty is flexible, believe them the first time. Do not wait for more proof. Lesson 2. If your partner calls emotional cheating closure, they are not protecting the relationship. They are protecting their own comfort. Lesson 3. You do not have to fight for a relationship that the other person has already left in their mind. Trying harder alone does not fix that. Lesson 4. Real partnership means shared decisions, not one person making big choices and expecting the other to adjust. Lesson 5. The right person will not make you choose between your self-respect and your relationship. They make it easy to have both. Lesson 6. The end of a bad relationship is not a failure. It is information you can use to build something healthier next time. What do you think about the way Mark handled the trip and the breakup? Have you ever stayed too long with someone who made you doubt your own instincts? Share your thoughts in the comments.